This is Putting It Straight. Rethink your beliefs. Redefine your life.
Last November, I tearfully watched as my father-in-law wept like a baby as his 10 million naira life savings vanished in a moment. You ask, what really happened? Don't worry, I'll tell you in the course of this video. But let me welcome you to Putting It Straight. Thanks for tuning in. This is a space we encourage viewers to re-examine their social norms and to redefine their lives and live successfully. In today's video, we'll beam our light on the pains of the gap in income investment, pains of knowledge gap in income investments. If you sit through, we will identify what these pains are, the consequences of the knowledge gap. We shall also tell you why they happen, and of course, the importance of the solution that you should apply. Others who do not have this knowledge should apply in order to fill those gaps. You see, many people like my father-in-law have worked long and hard under the sun and rain and saved with a view to investing for greater and lasting wealth. Unfortunately, some don't make it, while others do so. But you ask, what's the difference? Now, because they lack the financial literacy, many people today pursue money in different directions without actually knowing what money is, how money behaves, what investment really is. That's why they fall into the pains, many of them. But in this video, I'm going to highlight just 5. You see, one of the consequences, which is the pain for lack of investment knowledge, is that they do not know how to really save. A lot of people don't know how to save. Those who have the money don't know how to save, and those who have little don't even know where to apply their money. It is not all the money that we have that we should save. If you recall, in this channel, some time ago, I posted a video where I narrated my story. I became a victim myself. So on the basis of that bad, sad, nasty experiences, I asked myself, sit up and go do research. And I'm glad what we are going to learn today is part and parcel, the result of that research. So let's go on to pain number 2. Lack of knowledge of investment, of money, make poor decisions, make people to take poor decisions. Usually their decisions do not align with their financial goals. Even though they may plan big, but there is a disconnect because they do not know what it takes to do the right thing, so they could grow their money, they could expand their businesses and live happily. The pain number 3 is that they become vulnerable. People who lack financial knowledge, who lack investment knowledge, usually become vulnerable to financial fraud. And let me take a second to tell you what is happening at this very moment, within this week in Nigeria. In Ibadan, Nigeria, there was a massive scam going on for years, which only busted a few days ago. The CBEX scheme, where people were lured to bring in their money and then multiply their money so they could have millions of it thereafter. You see, that's something similar to MMM. It's similar to the Ponzi scheme. But you wonder why people still fall prey to it. Don't want that too long, because the reason is what we are talking about. Millions and millions of people who pursue money each day do not know what it takes to invest. where to invest, and how to manage that money. So they fall prey to these fraudulent schemes. And where they are not fraudulent, then these businesses don't work out as they hold out the promise initially. So pain number 4 is that people who lack this knowledge often miss investment opportunities. They can't identify, they can't recognize when opportunities come. In fact, in many cases, people dodge, run away, hoping it is the other way around, when actually that's it. So you need to be financially literate, investment literate, to be able to identify and pick up the opportunity, embrace it when it comes, so you can follow the flow to learn in financial prosperity. And fifth, lack of the gap in financial knowledge, investment knowledge, brings about financial stress, such as one I had myself, and sadly that of my father-in-law, who sadly 2 weeks ago, I was told he passed away out of his heart being broken. He had stroke and then passed on. See the pain, how large it can be, how steep it can be when people lack the right financial knowledge and more so investment. Let me spend 1 second to tell you how these pains manifest. Usually, they manifest in the manner of ignorance, like I have pointed out. When you are ignorant of something, you can't do it right. So when you lack the knowledge of investment options, you're bound to blunder. 2, it also manifests in the inability for people to assess risks. Risk assessment and management is one of the major factors successful business people have admitted that influence and direct whatever people do within the business sphere. And 2, it makes it difficult for entrepreneurs to understand the dynamics, what makes the market move, the areas where you do business, your own branch, your own industry, what makes it work. Because you lack the knowledge, it is difficult to understand it and so take advantage of it at the right time and place. So besides this, you also have a situation where this lack of information, this lack of knowledge, this lack of this illiteracy, financial illiteracy, it hinders informed investment decisions, so that people don't know where to invest. And even when you're investing, you do not put all of your money into one unit, because if you do not know that it can fail, then you're likely to dump all your eggs in one basket. And like they say, what if the basket falls off? Wouldn't all the eggs break? So that's it. Now, let me pause before we move on to the solution. Let me ask, what is your opinion about this topic? Would you like similar topics treated on this platform? If so, feel free to suggest those topics you would like us treat in the comment below. Having said that, let us proceed. So if people are suffering and we realize that one's financial future depends on filling the knowledge gap in relation to investment, how then? Natural question is, do we bridge the gap? Well, there are 5 suggestions here, which are very valid. The first is having to acquire financial education, that is the financial literacy. You need to read up on financial literacy, that is, educate yourself as to matters concerning money. What is money? Money has character. Money has behavior. Money has ways of behaving. Money has specific areas where it can be. Although people pursue money here and there, money can't be found just anywhere. There is where money resides. And when you acquire this knowledge, so you ask me, where can one avail oneself of this? course, there are books to read, but much more than that. Instead of going to the university or polytechnic to expect to read this, because universities or colleges don't teach us money, how to manage money, don't teach us how to do business. That's why we have so much poverty in the world. But now, other institutions like business schools that are set up by individuals are veritable areas where to acquire this knowledge that can guide you and direct. Do not think you're too old. So long as you need money and want to make money, you're not too old to learn to know what is the right thing to do. So acquire financial education too. You need also to seek professional advice when you want to invest. People who know, people whose profession is that, whose business is that for years, and they are acquainted with what to do and what not to do. These ones will provide you appropriate information and guidance and support in your business or in the journey of business that you undertake. 3, you also need to have continuous learning. You see, when we leave school in our younger days, we think that's all there is. No, education, learning is lifelong, and not specifically in particular areas or courses we specialize. We have a generalized life education, the most important of which is education concerning money and investment. So stay informed by reading articles dealing with finances and investment in the newspapers, books, and I think today's world is much more blessed because of the explosion of knowledge on the online. So we have online resources and similar area spaces where one can acquire investment information in order to fill that gap that is ruining our lives and businesses today. The number 4 is pursue simple investments. If you want to go into business, do not go into the complicated, advanced type of businesses that require specialized efforts by specialists to manage those ones. So why not start simple? Take the simple options, and as you go on, you build up confidence with the knowledge, the know-how, and the rest of them that you acquire, you pick along the way that enables you, emboldens you to take on more complex businesses. And 5th, that's the final. We need to understand risks to be able to bridge the gap between our ignorance and perfection, or success, if you like, in our businesses. So we have to learn about different investment types and their associated risks so that it can enable us make sound business decisions. This is the way to build the gap. Now, before I summarize what we have just learned, how do you feel? What do you think about this discussion so far? Does it bring benefit to you? Is it something you can let somebody else know about it? All right, so let's get the summary. You do not invest in businesses without knowing as much as you can. In other words, what we have discussed is that there are pains, there are consequences of ignorance. And in order to succeed in business, keep our money, or even make progress, we need not fall headlong into businesses that we do not fully understand. We need to have sufficient information, knowledge about the workings, the dynamics of the business world related to our area of choice before we embark on it. And that doing so will help to take away lots of pain. You know, people suffer death. People have heartbreak. People have stroke. People commit suicide. People have losses entirely what they had saved for their life. So we need to avoid this. And the best way is to acquire financial literacy. So if this broadcast has impacted your beliefs and practices positively, please share this video and do not forget to subscribe to it if you haven't done so. Let me thank you for watching. Let us meet again in the next video. Bye-bye.